What's going on, friends and family? My name is Skylent, and today we're talking about a new early access action third-person multiplayer online battle arena titled Fault. This is brand new, totally new. You've never seen this before. Just kidding, it's basically a remake of Paragon. It literally is a remake of Paragon, and I think a lot of you guys are going to be excited about that. I know, rest in peace Dawngate, rest in peace Gigantic, and many other titles, but Paragon is the most recent stab in the heart for many players who wanted to find a little niche for themselves. You know, just a little pseudo-competitive game that they can pal around with their friends, take it kind of seriously, play competitively, but, not be so toxic. And I think that was the environment that Paragon enabled for a lot of people, especially since you could play it cross-platform on PS4, and very well, mind you, and, on PC and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. It was interesting. It was graphically impressive. And at the same time, it added some elements that were a little bit missing even from a direct competitor such as Smite. So the mechanic I'm mainly talking about is verticality. Also, I think it was interesting that it was slower paced and less agility based versus Smite. But at the same time, there are some double-edged sword mechanics with that, such as it was very slow paced. Also, its verticality didn't really come into play, and in the end, its monetization, where it really could have shined, where, Dota's slower than League, but it has all those items and has all that strategy, Paragon decided to be kind of bad with its monetization scheme, debatably pay to win as well. With its loadout system, you have to actually buy the cards before you go into a match instead of earning it in the match. And it's very limiting, so it was actually more of a shallower game than it should have been. So hopefully, with this reimagining, with this game called Fault, we're actually going to get the full-fledged version of what Paragon should have been. But it is absolutely going to be a Paragon remake. In fact, I personally can't tell if there's any new content whatsoever, but I'm sure we're going to divulge that pretty soon here. And from what I can tell, I think all the characters are the same from Paragon. They're the exact same everything. In fact, there might actually be some debate if some of the quality might even be a little bit lowered. As well, is it going to be cross-platform? Things like that is stuff that we would like to know. But in terms of just being able to play Paragon again, a lot of people wanted to, and some people are, attracted. There's a little bit of traction with this project. I think that it could do okay. So let's see, I really do believe in the dream of bringing back games. There's actually a fan Dawngate project. I think it's called Project Phoenix, actually. I would love to see Gigantic come back, who knows, but people taking things and remaking it is great. So why have those games not been remade, and why is this game being remade? And basically, it's because Epic, with the Unreal Engine 4, they really want to promote it. They really want people to make games in it. And there's so many great things that have just been announced for Unreal Engine, such as Quixel being free, as well as no royalties do you have to pay until $1 million. Yeah, so really cool to make a game right now in Unreal Engine. But they also do things like they give away free content. You know how there's free games for Epic? It's like right now you can get Grand Theft Auto 5 for free. You can also get free assets every week on a rotation. They also just give away free assets. So this is so easily made because they literally, when they shut down Paragon, really high quality assets, they just gave them away for free. So instantaneously, the moment that Paragon shut down, a bunch of people decided that they wanted to try to make Paragon again. And it looks like this studio here, Strange Matter Studios from Montreal, Canada, they decided that they're going to get together and take it a little bit more seriously than other people. In fact, on their website, it says that our founders and team has designed and implemented all game features from the ground up to be, this is a big thing, competition worthy. Yeah. Competition worthy. And I really hope they mean that. I really hope they have a community manager up and running. I really hope that they have ideas for how they're going to sponsor the tournaments and the esport. I really hope that they have these mechanics and these concepts in mind, other than just making a competitive game with bunny ears. You guys couldn't see that, but I did that. Because you can try to make a competitive game as much as possible. You can try to make it as fair as possible, as lean and mean as possible. But the esport, the sport aspect of it requires a lot more. The publication of this game, and this is a game as a service, and it will be free to play. So, yeah, let's get on that, because so far, if I can just throw this out there, the footage that you're seeing in the background, taken from their YouTube channel, is a little bit unproduced, and it doesn't really give me the taste of oh, we're going to be an esport that I saw immediately with Overwatch, that I even saw with a number of games such as Evolve, of all games. So there's a lot of potential for this game, but I really hope they realize it. Because Epic didn't. Epic just made a game and they just wanted some money from it. They kind of floundered it. But you see what they did with Fortnite. They pushed the esport because it actually is a sport. That's what you see with League of Legends, Overwatch, Counter-Strike, many games. And then you see Team Fortress 2. Team Fortress 2 could be competitive, but Valve didn't really promote it until way too late, and they're still doing a very weird job with it. So how you actually publish the game as a sport matters. Please, Strange Matter Studios, realize that is a huge reason why people even play these sport-like games. Is imagine that for the sport. Okay, but that's what they're saying. They want to make a competitive-worthy MOBA, and even if it doesn't turn out to be like that, it'll be really cool to come back and play Paragon a little bit more. There was some interesting ideas with that. So the philosophy at Strange Matter Studios basically is that they're invested in rebuilding and improving upon the original 3D action MOBA genre that Paragon was trying to twist and turn. Really, it's just Smite. You have just Smite, and then Gigantic was really almost its own thing. That was basically a hero shooter. And then, yeah, you had Paragon, which was basically the competition to Smite. So hopefully it's going to actually be rebuilt and improved, but we'll see. Most of us were passionate Paragon players from the team, as what I'm reading, and the desire to see the game reach the potential that we all knew it had. So that's really cool, because honestly, I didn't see much potential myself personally. I was just, it really depended on who was publishing the game. Epic, I could clearly see that they were just, monetizing the hell out of this game. I could clearly see all the tropes, and I could see all the shortcuts that they took as well. And they were really floundering the general feel of the game. It was sluggish, it was slow, and it lacked a lot of strategy, as well as it was just really slow, and it didn't take advantage of the verticality that well. So, also, plus a lot of the character kits, frankly, were copied and pasted from Smite and a few other games. And it just seemed like, okay, yeah, this game is just, slapped out here. But now that it is being made by some people who are passionate and saw the hidden potential of this game that a lot of people overlooked, I think now that these people can truly remake it. So that's just where I'm going to throw that out there. Okay, so if you actually read their philosophy page, it's a very PR speak thing. Like they'll use like hot words like skill expression or competitive level decision making, things like that, mechanics. And overall, from what I can tell, it's just, I haven't seen that from the gameplay myself, especially knowing Paragon. This is a little worrying because a lot of people would say that Paragon did have a tremendous amount of depth, but if you just one-to-one compare it to Smite, Smite had the attack chain system. It had more agility, which means you could turn left and right faster, you could move around faster. It had more skill shots that came out faster, that had also more reactability. It just overall, see, even in Smite, there's a mechanic called boxing, okay? And that's just basically the auto-attacking. Just the auto-attacking is so in-depth in Smite that it literally has an entire unique name compared to any other game on the planet. That's what's so cool about it. And Paragon was not quite up to that level. So really what they need to do is focus on the strategy elements, much like how Dota doesn't have the mechanical intensivity of League of Legends in terms as like the real-time one-to-one fighting mechanics. There's no character like Yasuo inside of Dota, but there are characters like Nature's Prophet and Broodmother, and even characters like Doom, who are literally like you just click on someone and then stuff happens. There's actually a tremendous amount of depth with all the different items, the strategy, different how you play with the creeps and the jungle. There's so much fucking depth with Dota, but it's not weighted on the mechanics. This being an action game and yet being slower paced, and if they are imagining it as Paragon, it will still be a little bit slower paced. I'm hoping, here's my dream, that the mechanics that they want to further develop, I hope that they change around some abilities so that they come out quicker, so that it's snappier, so that things do a little bit more damage. It's a little bit more severe. It doesn't have to be Smite level, but also hopefully the itemization in the game. This is the real big downfall of Paragon. The items in Paragon were just the most boring. The evolution in Paragon is the most simplistic, dumb, lame-brained thing I've ever seen in any MOBA ever. Flat objective. If you play games like Heroes of the Storm or Gigantic, when you level up abilities or you level up your traits, it totally changes how those abilities actually work. It modifies them. If you play League of Legends or especially Dota, you get items that totally change your kit or enhance you to such a degree that you basically become a different character depending on what you build. Inside of Paragon, you had basically some buffs. You had some buffs. I think some characters might have been able to be like, okay, auto attack based, or maybe you're going to mainly use this ability for some damage. But for the most part, it was just basically like very small, very lame passive buffs. And that is the biggest point where they could enhance this game. That was Paragon's main fault, in my opinion. But if it's all going to be the same, if the game is basically just going to be the same, then you essentially need to directly compete with Smite, and you need to increase the pace of the game. It was incredibly slow. In fact, actually, guys, fun story, I actually interviewed for a position for Paragon, and I completely sabotaged my position, and basically I turned the entire interview into basically me just quality assuring them like, hey, your game's way too slow. And they're like, yeah, okay, so a lot of players have said that, but how would you change it? What would you do? And I was like, I'm not getting paid for that. But basically, like, no, yeah, I just basically said it's too slow. And everyone said that. So they try to increase the pace, they change things here and there. But it was, oh man, the updates were too slow. It was obvious they didn't care. And the game itself, I think, appealed to some people, especially people who are, I would say, more ignorant or new to the MOBA genre. And especially if you haven't really enjoyed Smite or was very good at Smite, then Paragon might have seemed very engrossing because it was slower paced. It might have been easier to understand, but that's kind of the problem. If you play any MOBA, it really should slap you in the face. Every MOBA should be like, oh my god, totally new mechanics. Oh my god, totally new items, totally new characters. So why was Paragon so easy to get into? And is that a problem? That's maybe debatable, but I would say that it's cool to be something that's easy to get into. You can have that slower pace. You can have a more easier to understand cash shop and stuff and things like that. But in the end, it still has to be engrossing, and it has to have like a high skill ceiling. And Paragon didn't have that. The hitboxes were really big. The skill shots came out very slow. And, you know, like everything was just very predictable, and it felt basically, okay, I'm just gonna say this. Some people are gonna hate it, but Paragon just felt like Smite underwater. Like yeah, that's just pretty much it. Plus the verticality, that's another thing. If you are gonna, you know, promote Paragon, because it does actually have some components where you can jump from kind of lower in the jungle up to a hill, or you're kind of on a cliff and you can jump down. You should really have more abilities that enable that. You should have more gameplay elements that enable that. Maybe have more parts of the map that do that. And yeah, just with a faster paced gameplay and making it easier to gank and attack, just like in League of Legends, then I think it could actually work out very well. But there's just like a lot of nuance, I think, to Paragon that needs to be enhanced. Because I think maybe technically the bullet point list of mechanics for Paragon were really exciting, but the execution of it was poor. So I'm just gonna say this, coming out here, Fault as a concept might be faulty because Paragon did fail, and Paragon was a little bit boring. So we're actually gonna read the final part of the website here, which is talking about Fault as a concept, and we'll see exactly what they think here. And they say, our game and map design revolves around action-packed competitive play. Players should never be isolated from action or allowed to simply go into autopilot in lane. To achieve such a game, we need inspiration from many sources, so we drew from Paragon and many other MOBAs. As a result, you will see influences from more than just Legacy and Monolith Paragon. The aesthetic of the map is clearly Monolith. We like the pace and action in Monolith games more, but we wanted the scale to be larger and players to have more options of pathing when traversing the map, more akin to Legacy play. As for itemization, we wanted an open store so any item could be built at any time, allowing players to express their skills by reacting to their opponent's builds without restrictions. Let me just pause right there. Imagine that epic. So that's great. That was a huge worry for me. Okay, continuing on. Lastly, we wanted every choice the player make to be impactful, so we designed the aspect/faction system, a fusion of League's rune system and Paragon's deck affinity system, to allow the player to make impactful gameplay decisions before and during the game. All of this adds together to make a system that can be as versatile or targeted as the player chooses. All of these designs are still under construction and will be continuously adjusted as we experiment and tweak during alpha tests. The game will be releasing in early access as well, but oh man, it really warms the heart to hear that they're going to do that. So it sounds like they're going to be kind of almost like a paladin kind of system where you do have your loadouts that you can kind of set up beforehand, and then when you get in the game, you have a little bit of some limited choices as you progress through. But hopefully, you know, there's still actually impactful decisions. Hopefully it's still done well and balanced, etc. Blah blah blah. But yeah, you know, it's got some big shoes to fill. I know Paragon failed, but it was an epic game. And they're competing with so many other MOBAs, and directly Smite, which is actually doing fantastically right now, and I need to cover that once again. I think it's going to be fun. But I definitely plan to jump into Fault whenever it launches in early access. as well. Now, I'm gonna just, at the end here, I'm going to just say some thoughts and things that might sound very toxic, but it's just me trying to be honest with you guys and trying to curve expectations. So already very critical because, I mean, this is a rebuild of a failed game, but here's another thing. When I was actually looking, obviously you could see the footage as well, but on the YouTube channel and their promotion and the websites, it really feels like they're selling this game based on stuff that Epic did. They're talking about basically these characters being their characters. They're talking about these graphics being their graphics, and they're basically showing off the game. And almost anybody could make this website. I could make this website probably in a day, and I could just slap it all together and make it seem like it's a legitimate game. I can just show you footage, old footage of Paragon, and, you know, make it be like, oh yeah, we're making this game. And it just seems like, okay, where is your unique touch? Where is your unique flair? How is this really changing? Because it really just feels like a remake and a slight remixture of what Paragon was. And I don't even think you can call it a remake exactly. It's just Paragon. And that's what's very worrying to me. I would have loved to see more original advertising art. I would have loved to see better trailers. I would love to see maybe actually, as soon as early access hits, a big thing would be you need to hold an early access tournament. I know that sounds really fucky, but honestly, a lot of big AAA games do that, and that's totally fine. Evolve, Overwatch, lots of games do that. Even Gigantic was having community tournaments. So hold those community tournaments, promote it on your YouTube, Instagram, all that good stuff, and really shout it out, because there is some attention on this game, but let's get it the right attention, and let's get more people who would be excited about this game. Let's get them excited about it. And I'm one of those people. I would be excited about this game. As critical as I was about Paragon, I am excited. I am talking about this game, but I'm having a hard time kind of being a champion for your game when you're mostly just showing me Paragon. You're not showing me Fault, if that makes sense. So Strange Matter Studios, I definitely wish you the best of luck. I think one day I'll probably join a studio much like your own, and I hope somebody doesn't just shit on me throughout a whole video whenever I make a game. But so I totally can empathize with you, but at the same time, big shoes to fill, okay? So, and let's try to make it right. What do you guys think in the comments below? Was Paragon worth it? Should it have shut down? Should it not have? Do you miss it? And do you think Fault is going to be better? Or do you think it's just going to be a worse Paragon? And you know, and how often do these fan remakes actually work? That's actually a really good question, and I kind of only know the answer for MMOs, but in terms of competitive games, this is kind of, yeah, it's kind of new, isn't it? It's a little bit. Oh man, we can talk about private server MMOs all day, but when it comes to competitive games, even Epic had a problem with Paragon, so best of luck, guys. Best of luck. Anyways, much love. My name's Skylent, and I'll see you in the next one.